Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay. I forget the name of the site. Let me see. Okay, this is from wiseoldgoat.com. Now let's keep in mind for everyone, as Surgeon Omar says in the back, these confessionals, in real time, that means now, children are required to do confessionals. So here it is. Confessionals, ethics, reports required. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Homeland Security, Child Protective Services, dated 10 March 1982. So just in case people didn't understand that, that would be the date of the policy that requires children to do confessionals. (1982) Number 6. Confessionals, ethics reports required. 10 March 82. HCO Bravo, policy letter, listen up, FBI, dated 10 March 82. Confessionals, ethics reports required. Notes. It has recently been noticed that there was an omission on the part of ministers doing confessionals. They were not writing reports to ethics on matters relating to the offenses of others that were revealed during a confessional. Mind that it says others. This would be according to the listed reference. HCO, policy letter, dated 17 June, 65. Staff auditor advices, that says, remember, pay very close attention, everyone, withholds. I'll read their definition here, but then I'm going to explain how I understand it, basically. A PC, pretty clear. Oh, withholds. A PC, pretty clear, is not sent to ethics because of withholds gotten off in a session. FBI, just so you know, that means an auditing session that most often the parents pay for their children to get audited, you know. However, on the invalidation button, one commonly finds suppressive persons. For anyone who doesn't understand what suppressive person means, that basically means enemy of Scientology. If you ask a question, like where is Shelley, you're deemed a suppressive person. If you ask why it's okay for children to be sexually abused or physically abused or neglected, you are now a suppressive person. You know, in case you didn't understand. Find suppressive persons around the PC. That means pretty clear for anyone who didn't get it. And the auditor. The auditor can be a child, like Serge Delmar and so many of the other children that were auditors, and they're still children in the flag base and other locations that are performing as employees, doing auditing, asking grown men and women sexual questions. Invalidation button 1 commonly finds suppressive persons around the PC, and the auditor must send the PC to ethics. So in other words, if you have a child auditor, and they find the person has the condition of invalidation, they have to send that child, that other child, to ethics. To ethics at session end to get the matter disconnected or handled. What a beautiful word that is, handled. You know, like an MK Ultra. Sometimes one finds another person's offenses. Then the PCs, like pre-clear, it's simply a title that Scientology assigns to a child or an adult in Scientology that have not reached the level of clear. And in order to become a clear, you have to pay a lot of money, or you have to offer up child labor or adult laboring. Sometimes one finds another person's offenses, then the PCs, pre-clear, in getting off withholds. Withholds, from what I understand, it's a private thought or something deemed a Scientology crime that a person, to include a child, would be withholding from the auditor, especially the child auditors. Yeah. These are reported to Ethics for Investigation, LRH. Must be a coincidence that he never said the word child, huh? Apparently, L. Ron Hubbard, who was very addicted to drugs, a failed military bum, was so smart. He was so intelligent. Oh, wait, he worked in intelligence. Must be a coincidence. He was so smart that he never uttered the word child, except in a few instances, such as when he's telling everyone that a 7-year-old child, should never object to a grown man kissing her passionately on the lips, because she has engrams from her past lives in which she remembers all of her sexual experiences. Isn't that wonderful? Also, mind here that it says staff. In the title of this referred to reference, we find it is indicated at several places in HCOB, HCO Bravo, policy letter. Just in case anybody can't figure it out, PL means policy letter, right? FBI. 10 March 82. Confessionals, ethic reports required. Mind you, children. This includes children. This is a policy for child abuse written into the policies. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security, Child Protective Services, Department of Justice, Department of Education, Los Angeles Police Department, Clearwater PD, Denver PD, Chicago PD, Boston PD. Ethics reports required that it is indeed directing itself only to staff. Just so in case you guys if you didn't pick it up, children are staff members too. Isn't that wonderful? This has to be made clear here for proper understanding. In the second paragraph, it then incidentally says, apparently this was due to a failure to differentiate between a PC, pre-clear, getting off, only other people's withholds, and a PC revealing knowledge of another's overt or crime. I guess I do kind of have this understood here. I'm going to read it again. Apparently, this was due to a failure to differentiate between a PC, pre-clear, getting off, only other people's withholds, and a pre-clear revealing knowledge. So in other words, be a snitch. Of another's overt, that's a snitch. You're snitching. And we know what happens to snitches in the mob, right? Of another's overt or crime against Scientology. Funny how L. Ron Hubbard never admitted to his crimes, isn't it? Must be just one big fat miracle that he never served any time, huh? I guess FBI and all these various agencies weren't smart enough to find him. Right. I actually fail to recognize the significance here. I don't think that this would be so apparent. We have no indication to that effect, and none are given in this text. I don't understand what they're talking about here. And I do believe the people who were writing these things were Scientologists. This is what I think. I might be wrong. I think it was people who had gotten out of Scientology but wanted to still continue practicing and adhering to Scientology policies. Now, HCO policy letter dated 17 June 65. Staff auditor advices. Did not actually target the pre-clear. It was only interested in handling or unburdening a particular situation. We find, however, that HCO Bravo policy letter dated 10 March 82, Confessionals ethics reports required, in fact starts to raise to point a finger at that very pre-clear, as it says in the following 3 paragraphs. I'm not going to lie, you guys, I'm getting a little lost here. Wondering if I should just read what's in the bold letters, because the other things are a little bit confusing. A person who only talks about others' overts or withholds is often withholding an overt of his own. Well, you guys, you know David Miscavige has a lot of withholds, right? I'll bet Rinder did too. I wonder what the Los Angeles Police Department would think about getting some of these overts from some of these predators, perpetrators within these Scientology walls. You know, hand signs or none, you know? Often withholding an overt of his own or engaging in a black PR campaign. Paranoid much? But a person who has knowledge of another's overts or crimes, you know, like a child versus another child Scientologist, against Scientology should have made out an ethics report. Just, you know, to clear this all up. So if you have a 5-year-old Scientologist that knows about another Scientologist's crimes, he or she has to write an ethics report. FBI. Have made out an ethics report himself, and having failed to do so, you better be a snitch or you're going to get in trouble. Would have withhold of knowing about another's offense. What about pedophilia, LRH? Because there sure does seem to be a lot of pedophiles admitting to their crimes in Scientology auditing sessions. Los Angeles Police Department. So would have a withhold of knowing about another's offense and not having reported it, even if it were only suspected. You guys see why they walk around the way they do now? I feel sorry for a lot of these people, especially the children. There are various reasons why a person might withhold from reporting the offenses of another. Similar overts or withholds of one's own, fear of consequences or retaliation from the person being reported on, not having all the facts and so only suspecting the offense, and not being certain enough are among more common reasons. They're going to make sure everybody's a snitch. Funny thing is, Scientologists never snitch on themselves, do they? You know what I'm saying? Now, the pre-clear him or herself, like a child, is being found at fault with. We're supposed to believe that this guy was smart with physics and all these other subjects, right? His grammar's pretty crappy. Allegedly it was LRH. It is interesting here that it is shifting the focus onto that PC, pre-clear. It is as if a PC would be a person who only talks about others. Others' overts or withholds, is often withholding an overt of his own. This is unreal. Or engaging in a black PR campaign. I interpret this as an exaggerated suspiciousness that is lacking a solid base. My point that I'm trying to make to everyone is all of these policy letters trying to think of the word. All of these policy letters are forcing children to write up withholds on other children or report overts on other children. A withhold can be a lot of things. It's 100% child abuse. And funny thing about it is not a whole lot of these adults are talking about it. I'm just saying they should be talking about it. It reminds me of lies by omission. It goes on in this HCO Bravo policy letter. There is another side to this. Some PCs viciously can begin a black PR campaign. Mind you, black PR is just simply asking questions. A black PR campaign against another by getting off the other's withholds, which are false. Oh my gosh. I don't really want to hear the commentary at this point. I'm not feeling all this commentary. So I'm just going to read the actual policies. Another angle of this, oh, never mind. Let's make sure that the children adhere to this, right? Failure to make such a report can result in the PC, pre-clear, or staff member, like a child, being named as an accessory, or at least being charged with condoning the offense. Right now, as we sit here listening to my video, a child is being accused of being an accessory for not making a report. Federal Bureau of Investigation, Department of Homeland Security, Child Protective Services, Department of Justice, Los Angeles Police Department. Right now, children are being made and being called an accessory. They're being punished, being called an accessory because they did not make a report, that they failed to make a report. So right there, that's child abuse written right into that policy. Let's go back and see which policy this was. Just make it all clear. Hold on. Okay, FBI, Department of Homeland Security, child abuse is written straight into HCO Bravo policy letter dated 10 March 82. Confessionals, ethics reports required. Child abuse is written right into that policy. Okay, I want to cover this one as well. I'm actually talking about the same policy letter. And there's another part to it. In any event, the release of HCO Bravo policy letter dated 10 March 82 confessionals ethics reports required rather effectively solves the problem hinted at by HCO policy letter dated 26 August 68. Security checks abolished, which we all know that's not true. Number 7, if a person, like a child FBI, is a criminal FBI, or has overt acts FBI, which affect his case FBI, and speaks of them to an auditor, like a child auditor FBI, of his own volition, the auditor is bound by the auditor's code not to publish, use, or reveal them. So essentially, the child auditor has to keep the Scientology secrets. Well, my opinion on that one is the reason that all of these criminal acts, overt acts, crimes, overts and withholds, why they want to hold on to them and keep them all secret, is that's how the blackmail is going to work. And also, I'm going to shift just a little bit. I've brought this up numerous times. If there's anyone really sharp about the laws, statutes, amendments, etc., you might know which law I'm talking about. So I'm going to read this first, and then I'm going to explain to you why this statement right here, written into the policies, the unlawful policies of allegedly L. Ron Hubbard in Scientology, HCO Bravo policy letter dated 7 January 85, HCO Confessionals, how this right here alone is explaining having a criminal justice system outside of the American criminal justice system. I thought that was illegal. Indirectly related to this process that started with HCO Bravo policy letter 10 March 82, Confessionals, ethics reports required, the one I was reading, in a sense got stepped up in HCO Bravo policy letter dated 7 January 85, HCO Confessionals, in where overts, kind of like a sin, disclosed in the course of confessional done for investigatory or justice purposes. They're talking about having a separate investigatory, a separate justice system outside of the American justice system. I always thought that was illegal. Maybe I'm slow and I'm wrong. Maybe I could be wrong. Confessional done for investigatory or justice purposes, generally called HCO confessionals, are always the subject of knowledge report to HCO and are actionable on the person. Always notice they never, hardly ever use the word child. Must be a coincidence. So I'm going to stop there because honestly, I'm having a hard time following this, but I wanted to focus directly on the policy letters. So you have the policy letter, HCO policy letter, dated 7 January 85, HCO Confessionals, and then you have HCO policy letter, dated 10 March 82, Confessionals, ethics reports required. Both of these policies are requiring child abuse. They have child abuse written right into their policies. Any authorities, any police officers, anyone in the justice system that would like to do the right thing and stop all the child abuse that is occurring because of the policies in Scientology and the people that are adhering to and using the policies.